Have you ever wondered what things you should never accept from others? In this video, we'll explore 6 attitudes and behaviors that, according to Stoicism, you should not tolerate under any circumstances. From disrespect to emotional manipulation, I'll show you how to identify these signs and, most importantly, how to maintain your inner peace when faced with them. If you want to learn how to live with more serenity, self-control, and dignity, stay until the end. I promise you won't regret it. Point 1. Baseless destructive criticism. Destructive criticism is not meant to be constructive, but rather to hurt, belittle, or undermine a person's confidence. These critiques do not provide solutions or foster positive growth and are often motivated by envy, insecurities, or a desire for control. From a Stoic perspective, destructive criticism should not affect you because it's not within your control. Stoics teach that what others think or say about you is irrelevant to your inner serenity, as you cannot change their opinions or words. You can only control your reaction to those criticisms. How to apply Stoicism to destructive criticism. Distinguish between constructive and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism is meant to help by pointing out areas of improvement to foster growth. Although it may be hard to accept, it's useful. Destructive criticism seeks to demoralize and lacks a solid basis. Identifying this type allows you to give it the importance it deserves, which is none. Control your reactions. According to Stoics, you cannot control what people say about you, but you can control how you respond. Instead of reacting impulsively, focus on remaining calm and indifferent to comments with no value. Practicing indifference, or apatheia, in Stoicism, means not allowing baseless criticisms to affect you emotionally. You maintain your tranquility because you know that external opinions do not define you. Seek lessons where they exist. Even in the most malicious criticism, there can be something valuable. A Stoic does not immediately dismiss criticism but examines if there is something to learn. If not, it is dismissed without resentment. Don't personalize destructive criticism. Often, destructive criticism says more about the person giving it than about the person receiving it. Stoics believe that others' judgments reflect their own perspectives and limitations. Therefore, you shouldn't take them as a reflection of your true character. Practical example. Imagine you are working on a project, and a coworker aggressively tells you, "This is a disaster, you don't know what you're doing." If this criticism is unfounded and expressed hurtfully, a Stoic approach would help you. Not let that comment affect you emotionally. Objectively assess whether there is something valid to learn. If not, discard it. Maintain your mental balance, knowing that the comment reflects that person's perception, not an absolute truth about you. Point 2. Disrespect. Respect is one of the fundamental pillars of any human interaction. In Stoicism, the dignity of each person and the need to treat others with fairness and justice is highly valued. Therefore, receiving disrespect from someone goes against these principles. Why is it important not to accept disrespect from a Stoic perspective? Your dignity is non-negotiable. As a human being, you have intrinsic value that must be respected. Mutual respect allows for harmonious and fair relationships. If you allow others to disrespect you, you would be compromising your own dignity and virtue, which is the most valuable thing for Stoics. Remain calm in the face of disrespect. Disrespect should not trigger an impulsive reaction. Stoicism teaches you to maintain composure even when others treat you poorly. You can't control what others do or say, but you can control how you respond. Disrespect from someone else reflects their own problems, not your value. The ideal response from a Stoic standpoint is serenity and self-control. Respect is reciprocal. Stoics promote the idea of treating others as you would like to be treated. If you respect others in your actions, you must also demand that respect in return. It's not about imposing but establishing healthy boundaries. If someone does not respect those boundaries, you should distance yourself or respond firmly and calmly, without losing your inner peace. Respect as a foundation for justice. In Stoicism, justice is a fundamental virtue. Mutual respect is a manifestation of that justice. Not accepting disrespect is ultimately an act of justice towards yourself and others, as it teaches those around you to maintain proper behavior. Practical example. Suppose a colleague at work speaks to you in a derogatory manner or tries to humiliate you in a meeting. From a Stoic perspective, instead of reacting with anger or resentment, you would stay calm and respond assertively, without allowing disrespect. If that person persists in their behavior, You might choose to distance yourself or, if necessary, set clear boundaries, always from a place of serenity and self-control. Accepting disrespect without response could be seen as conceding your dignity. However, responding with aggression or resentment is also not a Stoic approach. The key lies in balancing respect for yourself with emotional self-control. Point 3. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation occurs when someone tries to control your feelings or decisions for their own benefit. From a Stoic perspective, this is something you should not accept, as Stoic philosophy emphasizes maintaining control over your own emotions and thoughts. Allowing someone to manipulate your emotions means giving up control of your inner peace to another person. Why is it important to avoid emotional manipulation from a Stoic perspective? Emotional autonomy is key. Stoics believe that each person is responsible for their own emotional well-being. If you allow others to manipulate your feelings, you're giving away an essential part of yourself. The key is to maintain emotional autonomy, meaning not relying on others' manipulations to feel one way or another. Recognize manipulation. A major part of Stoicism is observing and analyzing reality as it is. This includes being aware of others' intentions. If someone tries to manipulate you emotionally, a Stoic would pause and reflect, what is this person trying to gain? Recognizing others' intentions will help you avoid being controlled by them. Stay calm in the face of others' emotions. Emotional manipulation often involves guilt-tripping, blackmail, or exploiting your feelings. Stoicism teaches that the emotions of others should not influence your emotional state. While you can empathize with others' feelings, you should not let those feelings control your decisions or actions. Protect your peace of mind. Emotional manipulation is ultimately a threat to your inner peace. Stoics place great value on mental tranquility, known as ataraxia, and part of protecting that peace is not allowing others to play with your emotions. When you realize someone is trying to manipulate you, the first Stoic step is to recognize that your emotions are yours and should not be subject to others' intentions. Practical example. Imagine a close friend tries to make you feel guilty for not accepting an invitation to an event by saying, "If you were really my friend, you'd come without hesitation." Here, you can recognize the attempt at emotional manipulation. From a Stoic perspective, instead of giving in to that emotional blackmail, you would maintain your autonomy and make a decision based on your own judgment, not on the guilt they're trying to impose. A Stoic remains firm in their ability to decide clearly, not because they lack empathy, but because they value their own judgment and inner peace above external pressures. Point 4. Violence or aggression. Violence, whether physical or verbal, violates the fundamental principles of Stoicism. Stoics value peace, reason, and self-control. Accepting violence or aggression of any kind goes against these values and undermines your well-being and dignity. Why shouldn't you accept violence or aggression from a Stoic perspective? Inner peace is essential. Stoicism promotes the idea of maintaining inner peace at all costs. Violence, whether physical or verbal, disrupts that peace and creates an environment of chaos and suffering. Accepting violence pulls you away from your state of calm and self-control, which contradicts Stoic principles. Self-control is key. Violence is a sign of a lack of emotional control. Stoics always seek to maintain mastery over their emotions and act with reason, not impulsiveness. Allowing someone to treat you violently is accepting their lack of control and falling into a cycle of aggression that brings no positive outcomes. You can't control others' violence, but you can control your response. While you can't control how others act, you do have control over how you respond to their actions. In the face of violence, Stoicism teaches not to respond with more violence but with calm and wisdom. This doesn't mean you should tolerate abuse. Rather, you should handle the situation rationally, by either distancing yourself from the conflict or taking measures to protect your well-being without losing your self-control. Human dignity is inviolable. Violence is a denial of the other person's dignity. Stoics believe in treating everyone with justice and respect, which means you should not accept being treated in an inhumane way. By not tolerating violence, you're defending your own dignity and the principles of justice that guide Stoic philosophy. Practical example. Imagine someone insults you in public, intending to humiliate or provoke you. A Stoic approach would help you remain calm, without reacting violently or with anger. You understand that the verbal violence of that person reflects their own lack of control, not your value as a human being. The wisest course of action would be to remove yourself from the situation or, if necessary, respond calmly and assertively, without falling into the provocation. A Stoic understands that violence is a sign of weakness, and responding with aggression only perpetuates a destructive cycle. Instead, choosing calmness and reason allows you to maintain inner peace and act with dignity. Point 5. Lies. Truth is one of the fundamental values in Stoicism, as Stoics seek to live in harmony with reality and reason. Accepting lies not only distorts your perception of the world but can also affect your judgment and decisions. Living with integrity and authenticity is essential for a Stoic, so you should not allow others to deceive you. Why shouldn't you accept lies from a Stoic perspective? Truth is essential for virtue. In Stoicism, living according to truth is crucial for developing virtue. When you accept a lie, you are allowing something false to influence your thoughts and decisions, which goes against the pursuit of truth and rational understanding. Lies weaken trust. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether personal or professional. Accepting lies from someone means allowing that trust to erode. Stoics value justice and honest relationships, and lying or accepting lies weakens those relationships. Maintaining control over your perception. Stoic philosophy teaches that we should base our actions and thoughts on what is real and true. Lies distort reality, and if you allow yourself to be deceived, you might end up making wrong or unjust decisions. Keeping your perception clear and grounded in truth helps you act wisely. Living with integrity. Accepting lies can also lead you to compromise your own integrity. A Stoic must be honest, act with consistency, and not participate in deception, whether as a liar or as an accomplice to a lie. By rejecting falsehood, you show respect for truth and for yourself. Lies create emotional chaos. Lies affect not only the intellect but also emotions. Discovering that you've been deceived can cause anger, confusion, or sadness. For Stoics, the goal is to maintain emotional calm, which can only be achieved by living according to the truth and not allowing lies to disrupt your inner peace. Practical example. Imagine someone promises you a benefit or an important favor, but does so with the intention of deceiving you or taking advantage of you. A Stoic, suspecting the lie, would focus on the facts and real actions, not on empty words. If you discover that you've been lied to, you wouldn't react with anger, but with serenity, simply distancing yourself from that person or situation, knowing that your path is one of truth. Stoicism teaches that accepting lies distorts life and moves you away from true understanding. Personal integrity is one of the pillars that keeps you grounded and connected with reality, allowing you to act justly and wisely. Point 6. Lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to understand their emotions and circumstances. From a Stoic perspective, although one should maintain control over their own emotions, the lack of empathy from others is not something you should accept, as it goes against the justice and humanity that Stoics promote. Living in a community involves understanding and respecting others' emotions and experiences. Why shouldn't you accept a lack of empathy from a Stoic perspective? Justice implies empathy. In Stoicism, justice is a central virtue. To be just, you must understand and treat others fairly, which requires empathy. If someone lacks empathy toward you or others, they are failing to uphold this fundamental virtue. You should not accept this lack, as it places you in a position of inferiority or disregard. Lack of empathy erodes relationships. Human relationships are built on mutual understanding. Empathy is the tool that allows people to connect in a deep and meaningful way. If you accept someone's lack of empathy, you are allowing that relationship to become cold, insensitive, and unjust. Your emotional well-being is also important. Although Stoics teach that we should be emotionally self-sufficient, they also recognize the importance of community. If someone lacks empathy toward you, they are affecting your emotional well-being by not understanding your needs or feelings. It's not about depending on others for your happiness, but rather about demanding fair and humane treatment. Mutual respect is based on empathy. Respect is not only expressed in external actions, but also in the ability to understand what the other is feeling or experiencing. If someone treats you without empathy, it's a sign that they don't respect your emotions or life experience. Stoics value mutual respect, and you should not accept being treated indifferently or inconsiderately. Practical example. Imagine you're going through a difficult time in your personal life, and a colleague or friend shows no understanding or empathy, downplaying what's happening to you or ignoring your feelings. From a Stoic perspective, you wouldn't respond with anger or resentment, but you would recognize that this person lacks the virtue of justice and empathy. You might choose to distance yourself or keep the relationship on a superficial level, knowing that this lack of empathy is a barrier to a healthy relationship. In Stoicism, empathy is part of human connection. By not accepting a lack of empathy, you remain firm in your values and in the principle that justice and humanity are essential for a virtuous life. Stoicism teaches us to live with integrity, self-control, and respect for ourselves and others. We should not accept from anyone anything that undermines our dignity, inner peace, or fundamental values. Whether it's a lack of respect, emotional manipulation, or lies, each of these attitudes leads us away from a virtuous and tranquil life. By being aware of what we should not tolerate, we strengthen ourselves to act justly and maintain our inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. Remember, it's not about changing others, but about deciding how we allow ourselves to be treated and how we respond to it. The key is to always maintain our integrity and serenity. If you enjoyed this practical approach to Stoicism and want to continue learning how to apply philosophy in your daily life, subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find more content that will help you live with greater calm, clarity, and purpose. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next video, where we'll continue cultivating wisdom together.